It's all magic, no tricks. Coming with it.
Yo, and we are live. Yo, this is Set with Set Media, guys, and I'm back with another one for you. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and do a recap of the week, and we're also going to bring up some, recent events, and then we're also going to get into, BB's speech at the UN, because it was pretty surprising what happened and what he demonstrated there. So let's get right into it with Trump's executive order on TikTok. So let's go ahead and recap that, and then we'll go right into a media analysis, and then we'll see if we can get into BB's UN speech. All right, let's get right into it.
Asking for an extension of a tax credit on people who get the Affordable Care Act and some other government-backed health care. So are you willing to negotiate?
Well, what they're really asking for is they want to pay for illegal aliens that have come into our country by the millions and get onto the rolls, and they want to pay. And our people don't want to do that. Our people are taxed enough. You know, we just approved the largest tax decrease ever in the history of our country, including the extension of the previous Trump tax cuts. The tax cuts that we just approved, they want to use those tax cuts to give the money to illegal aliens, people that came into our country illegally and that are leaving the country. So there's been a self-deportation because of what we've been doing. That's been incredible. Okay, yeah, please.
Which you really don't consider.
Military leaders from all around the country on Tuesday. Will you also be there?
From all around the country to what?
To Virginia.
He's inviting the generals and admirals to Virginia for a big meeting.
Well, I know. I love it. I mean, I think it's great. Let them be friendly. Let them be friendly with the generals and admirals from all over the world. Why is there something? No, but is there something wrong with it?
What is it about? Will you be there personally as well? And what is it about?
Well, I'll be there if they want me, but why is that such a big deal? I mean, the fact that we're getting along with the generals and admirals from all. Remember, I'm the president of peace. It's good to get along. It's good. You act like this is a bad thing. Isn't it nice that people are coming from all over the world to be with us?
It's not particularly unusual that generals who report to the Secretary of War and then to the President of the United States are coming to speak with the Secretary of War. It's actually not unusual at all, and I think it's odd that you guys have made it into such a big story.
Yeah.
Is it a big story? I mean,
I don't think it is, sir.
I would think it's no, but isn't it a good story? I mean, we're respected from all over the world as a military force. I rebuilt the military during my first term.
The media did try to sensationalize the fact that a bunch of generals was pretty much called into an emergency meeting by Pete Hegseth, and they try to sensationalize it for some strange reason. Who knows why, but I don't know. I think it's just, once again, more Hegseth hate, because they just love to hate the man.
And even though we gave a chunk of it away to Afghanistan, but we're talking Afghanistan too, by the way, about Bagram and about that. But that's a very small amount compared to what we rebuilt it by. But I rebuilt the military, and we're very respected. We have the strongest military anywhere in the world without question. We have the greatest equipment in the world. We're selling the equipment to other countries. And a lot of generals want to be here and they want to look at they're also going to be touring equipment sites. They're going to be talking about the newest weapons, et cetera, et cetera. But I think it's great when generals and top people want to come to the United States to be with our now called Secretary of War. Does everybody like the name? I do.
You said something
Yeah,
really
please.
interesting this week about Ukraine, that you thought Ukraine could get back all the territory that Russia had
Yeah,
taken.
they have a shot at it
What
because Russia.
prompted you to change your thoughts on
Well,
that?
because I've been watching the way Russia's and
Right
what
at it.
Russia's been doing.
All right, well, Trump's pretty much not saying that they can definitely get their land back, but he is saying they have a shot at it. Honestly, like I said, it would literally take the complete destruction of the Russian economy for that to happen. The complete destruction. If that doesn't happen, then they're most likely going to keep that territory, if not take more. But I mean, hey, man, anything's possible. I mean, it's highly unlikely, but anything's possible.
I'm very dissatisfied with what Russia's doing and what President Putin is doing. I haven't liked it at all. He's killing people for no reason whatsoever. And they are doing very poorly considering they have put it all out on the line. Their economy is going to hell. They're bombing the hell out of everything, and they're picking up a very little territory, if any. In fact, they're losing some territory. So I think it's been very bad for the reputation of Russia. This war should have been over. If this were our war, we would have had it over in 1 week.
But you didn't.
And they're getting into fourth year, Jeff. They're getting into the fourth year now. 4 year of fighting, and you see what they've taken. In the last month, they've taken very little, and you've been reporting on all the bombing, all the drones all over the place. 900 drones coming into certain areas like Kiev in one night. And with all of that,
I think it was like not 900. I think it was like 800 drones. Hitting Kiev and also hitting government buildings in Kiev, and that's one of my main concerns is that Russia is able to strike their capital or like whenever. But I mean, can Ukraine hit Moscow? No, they can't. But have Ukraine hit inside of Russia? Yes, they have.
work.
I mean, they
They've
just
taken
hit oil
over very little.
refineries, I
So
believe.
now I'm very disappointed in President Putin. I thought I solved 7 wars. In fact, we have a great leader coming. We have the Prime Minister of Pakistan coming and the Field Marshal. Pakistan Field Marshal is a very great guy, and so is the Prime Minister, both. And they're coming, and they may be in this room right now. I don't know, because we're late. And I said maybe they'd like to join they actually may be somewhere in the beautiful Oval Office. Yeah, please, behind you.
Quickly on Gaza, did you promise leaders this week that you would not allow Israel to annex the West Bank? Is that something that you?
I will not allow Israel to annex the West Bank. No, I will not allow it. It's not going to happen.
Did you speak with Netanyahu about this?
Yeah, but I'm not going to allow it. Whether I spoke to him or not, I did. But I'm not allowing Israel to annex the West Bank. There's been enough. It's time to stop now, okay?
Thank you.
Yes, please.
And I was actually happy Trump actually stated that, because he's like, yeah, there's no need to annex the West Bank, seeing that there's no Hamas there, and therefore there's no reason to do it. And it does seem like this is being pushed by the Israeli government to go in there and literally arm these citizens to go push them out, or Israeli settlers. And if you was watching the BB Files with me yesterday on Rumble, you know what I'm talking about.
Jasmine Crockett recently.
Jasmine Crockett. Jasmine, remember when I said, is she a relation to the late, great David Crockett? I don't think so. Jasmine Crockett, let me tell you, before you even ask, she's a very low IQ person.
I mean,
if we ever had to pass an aptitude test, that's the one should take one, because she shouldn't even be in the. So I have no idea what you're going to, but I don't think we should waste our time. This is a low IQ person who I can't even believe is a congressperson, between her and Ilhan Omar and the group. I met the head of Somalia. Did you know that? And I suggested that maybe he'd like to take her back. And he said, I don't want her. Okay, what else? Go ahead. You want? Let's hear what Crockett said. Go ahead.
Compared ICE raids to slave patrol. I want to ask you.
To slave?
What?
Slave patrol. I want to ask you if you think that there should be consequences for.
I mean, to compare him to slave patrol would be, like I said, is pretty much, all right, so you're saying we were going out there taking these immigrants and putting them back on the farms like you guys want them to be? Like, I mean, let's be quite honest. If anybody wants ICE to be used as slave patrol, it's y'all. We want to bring them in. We want to grab them off the street and, well, bring them back to their home, deport them. You guys are the ones who want to pretty much put them back on the plantation or the farm for very low pay or no pay, depending on how the farmer's feeling, or depending if they're a devious bastard and they want to be like, well, hey, it's either you work or I call ICE on you and you leave. Which one you want to do?
Members of Congress who make these types of comparisons.
Yeah. Well, I think she's gone over the line, and I think a lot of the people, look, the Democrats have become radical left lunatics. They have policies that nobody's going to buy. And, I see what's going on in New York. We're going to have perhaps a communist mayor because it's split up. If the people would get together and have one candidate, they'd have, I think, a pretty good chance. But it looks like maybe they're not going to do that. But we're going to end up with a communist mayor. It's not even believable, my beautiful New York. When I left New York to become president, it was a great place. But it was the beginning of bad things because we had de Blasio had just started as mayor. And I said, this guy's a real nut job. Went to Harvard to teach management. Can you believe it? He went to Harvard to teach city management along with the mayor of Chicago, who went to Harvard to teach. The two of them are teaching how to manage a city manage it into hell is what they do.
Man.
But that was the beginning. And now we're going to go a step further. Now we're going with the communists. Can I be honest?
I believe he was talking about the Chicago mayor going to Harvard for city management. And I mean, he's running one of the worst managed cities in America.
Honest, I think it's the greatest thing to ever happen to the Republican Party. I really do. I think if a communist takes over New York City, I think that's a gift to the Republican Party. It's sad for New York, but it's a gift. And New York will recover because sometimes you need a shock like that to straighten you out. But it's politically, it's probably a very good thing.
Mr. President, immigration, crime, and the World Cup. Actually, so
That's a lot of
you have
questions.
a number of cities that are pushing back against your immigration deportation move as well as your crime initiatives. Some of those cities,
I don't think they're very much
but
pushing
some of
back.
those cities have World Cup games.
Yeah.
Seattle, San Francisco.
They're going to be very secure.
Could those games move if they don't cooperate with your crime?
Well, that's an interesting, I guess, but we're going to make sure they're safe. They're run by radical left lunatics and that don't know what they're doing. Look at Washington, D.C. I just got numbers. There's like no crime in Washington, D.C. You, Jeff, will not be mugged walking down the street. You can walk down the street with your family. You can walk down your street with your wife, your daughter, your son, and you're not going to be. We took out 1,700 career criminals that we're not allowing back. And we have this city in great shape. There was a time when not long ago, when every single week you'd have at least one murder. And look what's happening with Washington. It's safe. I went to dinner in Washington just to prove a point. I gave a press conference in the middle of a street. I wouldn't say Secret Service was thrilled, but I did it. And here I am. Look, Washington, D.C. is such a great example of what can be done. We did it in 12 days. We made it very safe in 12 days, and now it's much safer than that. One other thing, I drove around Washington over the weekend, and I said, look at the difference. The grass looked great. Everything looked great.
And honestly, I would encourage, these Democratic governors to go ahead and try it out. Why don't you go ahead and employ your National Guard to your most high crime city that's most likely ran by a Democrat and see how that works out for you guys. I mean, because obviously what you guys been doing ain't been working. So maybe you guys can make some improvement, using the Trump method.
We had a lot of our National Guard, and we didn't ask them to do it. They did it themselves. They're proud. They're great. And they were picking up paper. They were cleaning. The place looked really beautiful. So we have a great Washington, D.C. We, as you probably know.
And shout out Angelo Thunder for sending in 2 jewels. Appreciate the support, my friend.
We're going into Memphis, and we're going into some other cities, and very soon we're going to go into Chicago. It will be safe for the World Cup. If I think it isn't safe, we'll move it into a different city. Absolutely, we'll take the world. If I think it's not, it's actually a very fair question. If I think it's not safe, we're going to move it out of that city. If like the governor of Illinois, who is, look, between last week and the week before, 11 murders and 38 people were shot. Then he gets up and he says, this is a very safe. And then he says crime is better. The reason crime is better is because Cash put about 5 months ago a whole team of FBI people there to get ready for when we go in. And they've lowered it a little bit, like 20, 25%, which isn't good enough, but it's a good start. But that was only put there because they're preparing for us to go in. And they've done, by the way, they've done a good job. So then Pritzker gets up, we've lowered crime 25. It's because the FBI was there. So no, if any city we think is going to be even a little bit dangerous for the World Cup or for the Olympics, where they have Olympic overthrow, right? But for the World Cup in particular, because they're playing in so many cities, we won't allow it to go to, we'll move it around a little bit. But I hope that's not going to happen. Yeah.
Mr. President, Director Patel this morning indicated that the shooter in Dallas had been using an app to track ICE. Does your administration have any plans to take down those apps or get them removed?
Well, I can't tell you about that, but it tells you when they want to wear masks or they want to hide a little bit, why that's so important.
Which is crazy because honestly, I was wondering why are y'all allowing these guys to make apps for ICE officers so people can track them? Like, that's kind of one of the reasons why somebody was able to take a shot at ICE officers. And then here's the thing, like, I don't think they really know that. So you might want to highlight that, somebody's putting out apps to track ICE officers, and there's a reason why they got to wear masks because, well, they've been radicalized. Politically radicalized to be framed as what? Terrorists, Gestapo, people who want to take away your favorite illegal neighbor. And because of that framing, well, people are taking action against them, like the young man in Dallas or like the protest mob in Chicago that ended up getting some poor fat white lady chokehold because they wanted to try to rip off ICE agents or an ICE officer's mask.
But these are great patriots, the ICE, and what a tough job they have. What an unbelievably tough job they have. And think of it, what are they doing? They're taking hardcore criminals out of our country and putting them back. These were largely criminals that were given to us by Joe Biden and his.
Oh, God, let's not forget to double tap that screen, like the video, guys. Let's get more people in on the conversation by double tapping that screen. Appreciate the support, guys.
Group of radical maniacs that surrounded this desk, just like these people surround the desk now, but they're not maniacs. They're really solid people.
Thank you, sir.
I'm glad I prefaced. But they're great. We have a great cabinet. We have great people. And he didn't have great people. He had terrible people. Look at Afghanistan. Look at the people he had running our military. That could happen. The most embarrassing day in the history of our country was Afghanistan. And 13 young people died. They don't ever talk about the 38 that were horribly wounded with legs and arms and everything else, really horribly wounded. So the country's respected like it's probably almost never been respected before. I think we're respected at a level. And a year ago, it was a dead country. We had a dead country a year ago. This country was dying. It was really in bad shape. Let's talk about the next subject, can we?
One of the most powerful deterrents we have to violent crime is the death penalty. As you said, your administration has taken bold, decisive steps to ensure that Washington, D.C. is once again a safe and secure city for its residents and all who visit. This is a presidential memorandum that directs your Attorney General and your U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, Judge Jeanine Pirro, to fully implement the death penalty here in Washington, D.C., where the evidence and facts of a case indicate that the death penalty should be used.
Okay. Everybody understand? Death penalty in Washington. You kill somebody, or if you kill a police officer, law enforcement officer, death penalty. And hopefully there won't be that. So again, it's way down. I mean, we have had week after week after week where we haven't had a murder. I said that the other day in front of the president of Poland. The press was here, and I said, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to announce that Washington, D.C. has not had a death in 4 weeks, a murder. And he looked at me, he goes, is that good or bad? He said, what kind of a place is this? But it's true for years. I mean, every week, essentially, somebody got killed or more than one. And this is a very safe city right now. We don't play games. And, it's interesting. We took these career.
I mean, it is pretty smart to make a DC a no-kill zone. Like, you're going to think twice about offing somebody in DC if it comes with an automatic sign up for the death penalty. I mean, you're definitely going to think twice about that. But I mean, maybe not, because people know that you might get life for murdering somebody, and they still do it. So we'll see how that works out. I mean, hopefully, it works out for the best.
Careers out, career criminals. They call them careers. They left the word criminal out, but we took the careers out of here, and they're now brought back to their homes, or they're in jail, or they're in a jail in another country, and hopefully they're not coming back. And we have to maintain it. You can't just leave, and we have to maintain it. We've gotten along fairly well with the mayor. You know, she's getting a party that hates that the city's becoming safe. I mean, they're actually criticizing her because the city's becoming safe. But this is becoming
No, yeah, they're criticizing Mayor Bowser, and which is the mayor of DC, because, well, they're saying that she capitulated to Trump just because, well, she's like, you know what? I mean, the National Guard came here and it's been pretty good. I mean, she had to be honest. She's like, all right, I'm gonna be honest with you. This is actually pretty good. They cleaned up crime in the area. Now they're picking up trash. We're in a good spot right now. And, you know, the Dems is pretty much saying, you've bent the knee to fascism. And no, she just did what's best for her people, which all the Dems should be doing. But instead, going against Trump is more important.
Right now a very, very safe city. This went from the most unsafe city in the country to the safest city in the country. There's no city any safer. That's a pretty big achievement. And we really did it in 12 days. But if you add an extra week to it, that'd be nice. And I mean, you can go out to dinner. Restaurants are booming. You know, the restaurants were dead. They were dead. Even if you got to the restaurant, then somebody would come in and hold you up. You know, they'd hold up the whole restaurant. They go to Uber. Young ladies in the White House, they'd call Uber for protection. They'd run to the car because they were petrified to be from the entrance of their building to the car. Now they feel safe. They're in the car, and then the car gets hijacked while they're in the back of the car. This is what we were living in. We were living in hell. People that work in the White House, every time they see me, young women in particular, say, thank you, sir. And I don't even ask them about what. I know exactly. I made their lives. Now they're living in a beautiful, glamorous place called Washington, D.C. with no crime. And that's the way it should be. Okay. This is the death penalty for somebody that kills people in Washington, D.C. I think it's capital. It's a very interesting capital punishment, capital city. Right? It's capital. But this is our capital city. We can't allow that to happen. People come in from Iowa to look at the Lincoln Memorial and they end up getting killed. Doesn't happen anymore. It's not going to happen. And if it does happen, it's the death penalty for the person that did it. And this goes into effect, right? Pam, is that right? Could you speak a little bit about that?
Yes, sir. Not only are we seeking it in Washington, D.C., but all over the country again. And as you saw very recently, we are now moving the inmates who were on death row, who Joe Biden or the auto pen commuted their sentences off of death row. We're moving them to supermax facilities where they will be treated like they're on death row for the rest of their lives, President Trump.
Okay, it's a big statement. Thank you very much. Okay.
Well, be honest. When you're on death row, you're just treated like a regular prisoner. The problem with death row is like a nerve-wracking thing. It's like you sit there maybe for like 5 to, I don't know, maybe even 20 years, and you pretty much live every day on the edge because you don't know when they're going to be like, all right, it's your time, my man. I mean, yep. Hey, yeah, you got the death penalty. I know we left you here for years. You probably thought we forgot about you, but come on, it's time.
Some of you are shaking your heads very positively. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, fellas.
You said on the campaign trail.
I said it. Yeah.
The death penalty is anybody illegal who can kill a U.S. citizen or a police officer. So this just reinforces your campaign promise.
Right. And most people really like it. And Washington, again, it's going to serve as a beacon because you have to do it. These are bad people. When you look at that guy, the guy that killed the young lady in the train in North Carolina, that he'll be in trial for years. He'll get a good lawyer somewhere along the line. Somebody will come along, and what he did to that young lady, and she went into that train scared. You know, when she went in, the way she sat down, she was scared to just be there. She just wanted to not pay any attention to anybody, just not be noticed. And she had her throat slit. We don't want that in this country anymore. We're not going to have it in this country anymore. Thank you very much. Next.
Lastly, sir, this is a presidential memorandum on countering domestic terrorism and organized political violence. In recent weeks, months, and years, we've seen a tremendous upsurge in some highly visible, but also other acts of domestic terrorism and organized political violence being perpetrated by radical, politically motivated groups all over the country. What this presidential memorandum will do is set off an administration-wide response to that, ranging from the Joint Terrorism Task Forces to other components of the Department of Justice to the Department of Homeland Security and Department of Treasury. We're looking at interdicting these groups, preventing them from performing acts of violence, and also looking at sources of organization and funding and support that prop them up and allow them to do the acts that they have been doing.
We're looking at the funders of a lot of these groups. And, when you see the signs, and they're all beautiful signs made professionally, these aren't protesters that make the sign of.
I mean, yeah, they do try to say that Antifa, I'm sorry though, but Trans-Tifa has been catching and shot out. But they've been trying to say that it's not an organized group when, they got a website. They show up uniformed. Really, it's really the website part. They got a written out website with a mission statement, a sign up sheet. I think they damn near got an emails list as well. So to sit there and say that they're not organized is crazy. But hey, though, we'll see with proper investigation done.
Their basement late in the evening because they really believe it. These are anarchists and agitators, professional anarchists and agitators, and they get hired by wealthy people, some of whom I know, I guess, probably know them. And you wouldn't know it. You're at dinner with them, everything's nice, and then you find out that they funded millions of dollars to these lunatics. Steve, could you say a couple of words?
Yes, Mr. President. This is a very historic and significant day. This is the first time in American history that there is an all-of-government effort to dismantle left-wing terrorism, to dismantle Antifa, to dismantle the organizations that have been carrying out these acts of political violence and terrorism. What we have seen, if you look at whether it be going back to the riots that started with Black Lives Matter and all the way through to the Antifa riots, the attacks on ICE officers, the doxing campaigns, and now the political assassinations, these are not lone, isolated events. This is part of an organized campaign of radical left terrorism. It is structured, it is sophisticated, it is well-funded, it is well-planned. There is really no parallel like this to anything else in the country right now. There is an entire system of feeder organizations that provide money, resources, weapons, and when they're attacking ICE officers,
Oh, guys, let's get the likes up, guys, by double tapping that screen and liking the video, guys. We got over 400 y'all in here, man. Do me a favor and double tap that screen and like the video. Appreciate the support, guys.
attacking federal buildings, where they're isolating public officials for harassment, doxing, intimidation, and ultimately attempted assassination. It is all carefully planned, executed, and thought through. It is terrorism on our soil. Because of this executive order, Cash and Pam are going to have the tools they need.
Shout out from my man Anglo Thunder, sending in another 10 jewels. Appreciate the support.
Working with Scott to take these organizations apart piece by piece. And the central hub of that effort is going to be the Joint Terrorism Task Force, or JTTF, which sits inside the Federal Bureau of Investigation. But for those at home who are worried about terrorism in this country, they need to understand, because of President Trump's strength, because of his vision, because of his leadership, we are now going to use the entire force of the federal government to uproot these organizations root and branch. And again, that's only possible because of President Trump and his leadership.
Thank you, Steve. Cash, please.
As Steve was saying, Mr. President, thanks to your leadership, crime is going downward in a tremendous fashion, and that's what we want for every city in America. And the FBI's premier flagship enterprise, the Joint Terrorism Task Force, are honored to lead this initiative with our partners at Treasury and Homeland Security, because our citizens are being attacked by, as Stephen said, organized violence, and it's being paid for, not by them, by other people. So what we are going to do, combining forces as Scott and I have done in these last few months, is follow the money. People and organizations have collected funds and put them out into the streets of America and organized violence across our country. And thanks to your recognition of this and this executive order and the AG's leadership to lead out and prosecute these individuals, we are properly going to chase them down like the domestic terrorists that they are. And our streets and our communities are going to be safer because the JTTF and the FBI and Treasury and DHS and DOJ are going to combine forces like never before to root out this new evil that is perpetrating our criminal activities across our societies. And we are just so thankful for your leadership and recognition of it. It's not easy to do.
Good job. Thank you very much,
Who
Pam.
specifically do you want to
What?
Besides Antifa, is there a specific group or person you're targeting with this?
Any organized group.
Any organization?
Any organized group who is committing who are committing these crimes, and we're working with the Secretary of Treasury. You know what law enforcement has told us under President Trump's leadership? He's taken the handcuffs off law enforcement. They can do their jobs now, thanks to you, President Trump, and that's what's happening. And all of these agencies that Cash mentioned, we work hand in hand together. Our prosecutors were following the money with Treasury. We're working with Homeland Security, Cash's agents, all of our agents, DEA, ATF, U.S. Marshals, combined are working.
You know, I'm pretty sure they're talking about, well, one, Trans-Tifa and any other really communist group. Because we do have like communist party groups here that don't really get a lot of attention, but you know, who knows what they could be getting into or funding. They do need to be properly investigated. Just saying, you know, since they're a party that don't really believe in the American way.
And with state and local government to take these people off the streets who are jeopardizing lives.
Can I just illustrate this? So I was talking with Cash and Stephen about this a couple of days ago, sir. So I believe it was in Oregon where you had a federal building where there were men in black ski masks who were committing acts of violence, who were shutting down a government building. To the president's point, they don't come from nowhere. These are paid people. This is organized. They're committing acts of political terrorism on American soil. And it's time we had a government that looked out for the American people rather than the people who are committing violence against the American people.
When you go out to Portland and you see what's happening in Portland, this is like nobody's ever seen anything like it. Every night, and this has gone on for years. They just burn the place down, and you know the shop owners, most of them have left, but the few shops that are open, they just use plywood and just like 3/4-inch plywood. They don't put storefronts because they know it's going to be burned down. These are professional agitators.
Right.
These are bad people, and they're paid a lot of money by rich people, some of whom we know. I'm sure I know some. I don't. If I knew, I wouldn't associate because I'll be in trouble because Pam will say, "Why are you associating with this person?" But I will tell you that these are bad people, and they're paying a lot of money, millions of dollars. But take a look at Portland.
And here's a problem. I mean, you know what? To speak on the whole Trans-Tifa or Antifa problem, the problem with them is that they pull up to protests where people are peacefully protesting and they get violent. That's the problem with those groups right there. It's like they pull up to the peaceful protests and they get violent.
Sometimes these are wild, these are crazy people, and they're trying to burn down buildings, including federal buildings. And on my list of things that I want to do before we finish up with the cities, because I think we're going to whip the cities back into shape, but we have to. We cannot let our cities, and that's a small example, but it's the most violent example. It's every night, and they've done it for years. You think maybe at some point they made their point, and what are they doing? But we're going to get out there, and we're going to do a pretty big number of those people in Portland that are doing that. They're professional agitators and anarchists. They're actually anarchists. Yeah. Go ahead. Why don't you defend? Let's see you defend them, Jeff.
No, I'm not defending anyone. I just want, so that we can just explain this in our stories.
You don't explain it right, though, Jeff. Go ahead. Let's go. Maybe let's give you another chance. Go ahead.
Antifa, Soros, what names are we talking about?
Well, Soros is a name certainly that I keep hearing. I don't know, but Soros is a name that I hear. I hear a lot.
Honestly, Soros has been connected in a lot of things lately, like the whole, what was it? The money manager, Howard Rubin, who just got caught up for sex trafficking. And what was it? I think he was also electrocuting his women as well, which is crazy. But yeah, he does have a link to Soros as well. So Soros' name is getting brought up in, but boy, I ain't gonna lie. I mean, activism, terrorism, sex trafficking. I mean, plunging currencies and betting against them. I mean, he's mentioning a lot of devious things. Like he's a real life supervillain, to be quite honest with you. Like he's literally like our Joker, maybe worse, more like Lex Luthor.
Different names. I hear names of some pretty rich people that are radical left people. Maybe I hear about a guy named Reid Hoffman. Somebody's a pretty rich guy, I guess, and I hear about him. I don't know. Maybe could be him. Could be a lot of people. We hear the same names, but they're bad, and we're going to find out. And if they are funding these things, they're going to have some problems because they're agitators and they're anarchists. These are anarchists, really bad. Okay, yeah, please.
Can you, Mr. President, can you, are you,
Who you with? Who you with?
I'm with the Center Square, Sarah Rodriguez. Sarah, There's also, as you know, Antifa is not just a domestic or now a domestic terror organization. It's also international. I know the Netherlands is looking at also designating them a terror organization. Have you
That
been
is
working
true.
with Intel?
It did start in Germany, and it is something that's international. So, I mean, hey, so it could be getting international funds. But like I said, I mean, it's never been properly investigated in the U.S. and probably not even in the Netherlands. So we'll see what comes of this.
Community and your DNI to possibly expand that to making them designated
Yes,
an
we have.
international
Yeah,
terror
we have
organization.
been. Yep. It's an international, in many cases, it is international.
Because
Yeah.
that on Antifa, if someone takes to the streets of America and says they're Antifa, what happens to them? What will happen to them?
Well, I'd say the maximum under the law, and we'll see. Now, if they kill somebody, we just signed a death penalty, so it depends where it is. But if they kill somebody, which they do, I mean, people are dying. You go out to Portland, people die out there. Many people have died over the years in Portland. Portland is, I don't know how anybody lives there. It's amazing. But it's anarchy out there. And that's what they want. They want anarchy. Like when they attacked Seattle and took over a big percentage of the city. I was going to go out and we were going to do a big number. They heard that and everybody broke up all of a sudden. But, you know, you have governors that have to run that, and a lot of them don't do that. I don't like to go in. I'd rather have Pritzker's support when we go into Chicago. But if we don't have it, that's okay too, because we're paramount and we will do what we have to do. We're going to make Chicago safe. We're going to make but we're going to make as many as we can. And usually that involves a surge. But what we did with, in the case of Chicago, by having the FBI go out there 5 or 6 months ago, we brought it down a little bit. You know, a little bit is 25%, so it's not so little, but it is when you're talking about the kind of crime and killings and murders that you hear in Chicago. But we're going to get it. Chicago's a great city. As the Union Pacific said, the head of the Union Pacific, who's a great guy, started off as a low-rung guy. He said he started in a caboose, and now he's the chairman of the Union Pacific. But he's a great guy. But he said, sir, don't lose Chicago. The way he said it, I said, boy, it really hit me. You know, here's a man that knows all the cities. The Union Pacific, I guess, is our largest railroad. And he knows all the cities. He's been doing it for 45 years. And he said, sir, don't lose Chicago. And the way he said that meant a lot to me. And we're going to go into Chicago very soon. We're going to take care of Memphis. We're going to take care of Memphis. You can't walk a block without getting shot. We're going to take care of.
I mean, due to the fact that a lot of these gang members got, I mean, let's be real, these gangs got more guns than the police. I mean, they probably got heavier, I mean, really more heavier artillery. I mean, they probably got guns that shoot faster, shoot harder than most police. And the problem with Chicago is that they've tried to do everything they can. I mean, they put more money into their police. They've added police officers, and yet the gangs are still a problem. I mean, then let's be real, they're only reacting to crime. They're not really solving crime.
That one, and just like we did Washington, D.C., and we're gonna do Chicago very soon. Yeah.
And shout out to Cache My Memory for sending in 10 jewels. Appreciate the support. Well, actually, he did it again. Appreciate the support, my man. And like I said, you can go ahead and send in a super chat, or you can go ahead and send in a gift. Appreciate the support either way, guys.
There could be an indictment on James Comey. Do you know if there is an indictment?
I don't know. I know it's going on because I read the papers just like you do, right? So I don't know. Do you have anything to say about that? Yeah.
Can you comment on a New York Times, Madam Attorney General, can you comment on a New York Times report saying that Justice Department officials have asked attorneys to target a George Soros-funded group? And is this executive order that you just signed a part of the effort?
I'm not going to comment on whether there is or is not a pending investigation, but everything's on the table right now.
I don't think anybody has to ask, because if you look at Soros.
No, all right, guys. I do want to touch on this Howard Rubin guy, because this kind of leads me to believe that we might be honestly investigating, or actually doing some real investigating into the Epstein files, because this guy would definitely be one of them. He would definitely be some guy on the list, like I said, considering that he was, well, he's caught up now for human trafficking. And then if you read more into it, he was even electrocuting women. I mean, it's sick.
Let's get back to HQ. Contessa Brewer with some breaking news. Contessa.
Money manager Howard Rubin has been arrested in Connecticut on federal charges of sex trafficking women. A 10-count indictment charges Rubin and his longtime personal assistant Jennifer Powers with recruiting, coercing and forcing women for commercial sex acts, transporting the women in interstate commerce. The Department of Justice says Rubin took those women to a Manhattan penthouse apartment that had been converted to a sex dungeon, also to luxury hotels, and then tortured women beyond their consent, including electrocution. It's a fairly detailed prosecution claim here. Prosecutors say the pair forced those victims then to sign non-disclosure agreements that put financial consequences on them if they told. Rubin's charged with bank fraud connected to financing his assistant's Texas mortgage. Now, sex trafficking convictions could carry a life sentence here. Rubin also was sued in 2017 by three
Man, I mean, shoot, that's one of the else just come with a death penalty too. But hey, that's just me.
models who say that he raped them and was ordered to pay millions of dollars for that. Rubin had worked for many Wall Street firms, including Salomon Brothers, Bear Stearns, Merrill Lynch, and also for George Soros. We're just getting.
And I always just say, bro, everybody's focused on Trump, Trump, Trump. And here's the thing. The Epstein list comprises of a whole lot of bankers and money managers, hedge fund guys, like venture capital guys. I mean, you're more likely to see guys who have huge ownership in like State Street, Vanguard, BlackRock, those guys. I mean, you're not going to see all these, like, I don't know, famous names that you're expecting, to be quite honest with you. And let's be real. I mean, investigators have already came out on camera, even though they didn't mean to. And Ray said that Trump pretty much had nothing to do with the raping of little girls. But all right, let's keep it going.
Details right now from the Department of Justice, and we'll continue to pursue more information.
And this came out, I believe, today. So more is going to come out about it. And don't worry, I'm going to be on top of it. I'm going to be on top of every single one of these guys. But all right.
I'm Jessica Moore in for Christine Johnson. We begin at 6 with allegations of horrifying acts behind closed doors of a Manhattan penthouse. Retired New York financier Howard Rubin and his personal assistant are accused of spending $1 million to recruit women to engage in sex acts that sometimes turned violent. Alice Gaynor has more from Brooklyn Federal Court, where Rubin just faced a judge and pleaded not guilty.
A 10-count indictment against 70-year-old retired financier Howard Rubin and his personal assistant, 45-year-old Jennifer Powers, alleges from 2009 to 2019, Rubin recruited dozens of women to engage in sex acts for money, allegedly torturing them beyond consent, preying on women who were desperate, suffered from addiction, and had previously been sexually abused. Powers is accused of facilitating the encounters, arranging travel, and securing non-disclosure agreements. According to the indictment, during many encounters, Rubin brutalized women's bodies, causing them to fear for their safety and or resulting in significant pain or injuries. The alleged encounters took place at luxury hotels and then at a penthouse apartment near Central Park Rubin leased and partially turned into a so-called sex dungeon, soundproofing it and outfitting it with BDSM equipment. Some contained devices to shock or electrocute. Prosecutors say Rubin and Powers, together with others, recruited women, some former Playboy models, misrepresenting the extent to which she would engage in physical and sexual violence, sometimes disregarding a safe word. Rubin allegedly encouraged women to take alcohol and drugs like sedatives. Some say they were unable to consent because of lack of consciousness. Rubin, prosecutors say, threatened them with legal consequences and public shaming if they sought legal recourse. Rubin funded Powers' life, paying her Manhattan rent, private school for her children, credit card bills, legal fees, a down payment on her Texas home and mortgage, totaling around $8 million. Rubin was also charged with bank fraud in connection to the mortgage.
Rubin pleaded not guilty to the charges in court. Prosecutors revealed there are dozens of other alleged victims not yet included in the charges. Powers was arrested in Texas. She'll appear before a judge Monday. Outside Brooklyn Federal Court.
And it's been revealed that this guy's linked to Soros. Now, I was trying to see if he's been linked to Jeffrey Epstein and any of his operation, because, I mean, come on now. I mean, look what he's getting caught up on. He's your usual suspect. I mean, a hedge fund, billionaire. Let's not get into his ethnicity, but yeah, he's a hedge fund. He's a billionaire. And I'm not going to say he's guilty for sure, but it sure does look like it. And I've heard his name like in these circles before of being these billionaires who are, messing with children or prostitutes. Now, honestly, I heard his name about messing with prostitutes. I didn't know he was, and it kind of seems like that's his dig, is messing with prostitutes, girls of age. I'm not sure if did they say underage? No, I'm pretty sure he's talking about girls of age who he's pretty much torturing. And once again, like I said, prostitution is wrong. torturing women is wrong, drugging them is wrong. So yeah, what this man doing is pretty much is evil. But to be quite honest with you, it's kind of crazy how he's not being linked in with Jeffrey Epstein in any way, shape, or form, or at least it should be investigated at this point, seeing that, you know, that's the topic that's still prevalent today. All right, but let's get right into it.
With notable connections to George Howard Rubin, a former New York City financier with notable connections to George Soros, has recently been arrested by federal authorities in a case that has drawn widespread attention. Rubin, once a prominent figure on Wall Street, now faces serious charges related to the alleged exploitation of women over a number of years. Rubin, aged 70, previously worked as a bond trader at Salomon Brothers, where he gained recognition in the finance world and was even mentioned in the best-selling book Liar's Poker. His career later extended to managing investments for Soros Fund Management, cementing his status as a significant figure in financial circles. However, his professional achievements have now been overshadowed by legal troubles. According to federal prosecutors, Rubin operated a network that recruited women for private activities in his Manhattan penthouse.
What I tell you?
Authorities have charged
this guy
him with multiple counts, including the transportation of individuals for illegal purposes and financial misconduct. The indictment also names his assistant, Jennifer Powers, as having played a role in facilitating these operations. Powers was arrested in Texas and is also facing federal charges. Prosecutors allege that these activities occurred over a period of approximately 10 years. Between 2009 and 2019, the women involved were reportedly recruited under promises of legitimate work opportunities. Federal authorities emphasize that the conduct Rubin is accused of has had significant and lasting impacts on the individuals involved, and the case has been a focus of ongoing investigations into exploitation and accountability. The case has drawn public attention not only because of Rubin's past prominence in finance, but also due to his ties to George Soros. While Soros himself is not involved in this matter, Rubin's connection to high-profile financial circles has intensified media coverage and public interest. Federal authorities are pursuing the case with seriousness, highlighting that no individual, regardless of status or connections, is above the law. The legal proceedings will determine.
Honestly, I think they pulled his name fresh off the Epstein files, or there's not really a list. There's no Epstein list. There's the Epstein files that where you can kind of bring together people who's been involved with them. And I'm pretty sure they pulled his name right out of the files. Well, I'm sorry, not pretty sure, but I'm 80% sure.
Determine the outcome, and Rubin, along with his assistant, is scheduled to appear in federal court in Brooklyn for arraignment. This case has sparked broader conversations about power, influence, and responsibility. Experts note that high-profile individuals in positions of authority have a particular duty to act ethically and within the bounds of the law. The Rubin case serves as a reminder of the importance of accountability at all levels of society. The investigation is ongoing. And
now, if we can just get that in all levels of government, that'd be just great. That'd be fantastic.
Federal prosecutors are continuing to gather evidence and testimonies from those involved. Rubin and Powers face significant legal consequences if convicted. Observers and legal analysts are watching closely, noting that the case could have ramifications for how similar situations are addressed in the future. While the situation is serious, it also highlights the role of law enforcement and judicial oversight in protecting individuals from exploitation and ensuring that justice is served. Authorities have stressed their commitment to investigating such cases thoroughly, regardless of the prominence or financial standing of those accused. The Rubin case is part of a larger national focus on holding individuals accountable for misconduct.
Told you.
Particularly in context.
A larger national focus. So like I said, it kind of seems like they might be working with this Epstein list behind closed doors or behind curtains. And they're not giving us any information because they don't want to put guys like these on notice to where, they might, go to some country where we can't extradite them. There's a couple countries I can name, but we're not. But yeah, I'm pretty sure we don't want to tip these guys off to where they might start making certain moves.
Where power and influence may be misused. As the proceedings continue, more details are expected to emerge about the scope of the alleged activities and the evidence collected by investigators. In conclusion, the arrest of Howard Rubin and his assistant Jennifer Powers marks a significant development in the intersection of wealth, influence, and legal accountability. While Rubin's past career brought him considerable recognition, this case reminds the public that actions outside...
All right, guys, let's get over to the next story here. And shout out to our guys over here at CNN. I guess they did a poll. Analysts, are young men's political attacks fueled by belief or by personal struggle? And I'll go ahead and give him an answer right here. Both. Okay, it's both. All right, guys, let's get right into it.
Jillian Yang, senior ideas writer at the New York Times, joins me now. Her latest piece, Political Violence Isn't New, but Something About This Moment Is. Jillian, thank you so much for being here. You have paid attention, reported on all of these high-profile shooting incidents in the last decade plus. The through line that I've identified really comes from your analysis. It's despair, right?
It's really striking when you look at these shootings when they happen, and it can be everything from the Kirk assassination to your more typical, unfortunately, high school shooting. And immediately you start asking, okay, who did this? What's their story? And it's just so striking over so many years of working with reporters on these pieces that you more often than not, find a young man who is socially isolated, struggling to hold down a job. You know, you just saw with Dallas last week, the more we find out about this guy, he was spending thousands of hours playing video games, even in recent weeks. And they're not, in these cases, leaving a trail of, online writings where they're very political. In the Kirk case, that suspected killer did not even vote in the 2024 election. So it just makes you think there's something else going on. Certainly, these are political acts of violence. They have political ramifications that are quite serious for our entire society. But when you begin to look at the individual people, I think the story just gets so much more complicated.
I'm not looking to excuse any of the politics.
I will give her that one, as because we do like to sit there and say, oh, it's left or it's right. But then when you look into these guys like individual stories, you look at the person, you look past their politics, you kind of see something a little bit more like deeper. Like instead of looking surface level and you look a little deeper, you kind of see like, okay, troubled childhood. I mean, they start going into the wrong type of crowds, wrong type of, Reddit groups. It's like, yeah, you start seeing you start seeing them past who they voted for and start seeing them for the person that they are and their experiences that come with it.
Either it's not a dodge. I'm just suggesting that we look more deeply at what's really going on here. And something you made me appreciate and realize, and I don't even like to say their names, so I'll put it this way. The shooter in Butler who shot President Trump, when you look at some of the background that we now understand, it could easily have been President Biden, right? I mean, he had both of them on his radar, so to speak. It does remind me that John Hinckley, it's not so much that he had an obsession with President Reagan. He was obsessed with, the actress, Jodie Foster.
Jodie Foster, yes.
Yeah, he was right. And so if it weren't Reagan, it may have been somebody else. Your thoughts?
I think the Butler assassination attempt is really important to look at. I have colleagues at the New York Times who a year later, they were thinking, this is still a weird case. Like, how did this guy nearly murder President Trump? As we all know, just by centimeters, essentially. And what's astonishing is that when you go back, and these reporters did, and you go digging, you interview everyone you can find, total cipher. All we know, really isolated, probably suicidal at this point, we kind of know, because just like the ICE shooting this past week, killed himself after shooting the gun. So again, I would say that case is really important for us to understand, right? I mean, the president was nearly killed in the height of a political campaign. And in that one, again, total mystery what happened.
The political shooters really do seem, and in my opening commentary, I put them in the same category as the school shooters. What parallels, what differences do you see?
I think what you see as a parallel is, people who appear to be fundamentally lost, you see.
I mean, all right. So when you look into Thomas Crook's background, you do see some very questionable messages that he was writing on, which was YouTube comments. So yeah, he was a very disturbed kid for sure. What led him to shoot the president was a bit crazy because he was talking about executing communists, liberals, all that wild stuff, and it's something that radicalized him against Trump. I mean, just like with Ryan Ralph. I mean, what radicalized him against Trump is that Trump wasn't, so gun-ho for Ukraine. And this guy's, an extremist for Ukraine. And he thought that Trump was about to give up Ukraine to Putin. And he's like, all right, no, I'm going to take a shot at him before he does it. It's like positions like that will radicalize people.
Again, the Dallas shooting, the more we learn about this guy, can't hold down a job. The people who, interacted with him just said there was something deeply off. And I honestly think those quotes that you're seeing about that shooter, you could exchange them with any, high school shooter that we've seen in recent years. And so there's something going on where the person is so lost that they believe that this is kind of the thing to do. We're also seeing that these shooters are noticing other events that are also shootings. So they're sometimes looking up other people who've become essentially infamous for doing this. These are people whose names we would never have heard of otherwise. And they kind of go out in this blaze of violence, and suddenly we are aware of their existence. Again, we can never fathom what is happening inside.
Like Luigi Mangione, how he just killed, he literally walked up on somebody, killed them, not even looking at him in the eye, just killed them from the back. And now he's being glorified as this hero on the left. Yeah, it's happened all throughout history. Let's be real. Even serial killers were having women pull up to the courthouse to, gush all over them. So this is quite typical.
These people's minds, obviously something is incredibly disturbed, but there's something where they are, kind of lost. No one knows who they are. No one maybe even notices them. And they suddenly do this thing that demands attention. And we've seen that with the shootings at schools as well.
And Jillian, it also puts an additional onus on law enforcement, I imagine, because if it were as simple as some of the politicians are seeking to make it, that it's coming from this direction, no, it's coming from this direction, and it's organized and so forth. If it were that, then law enforcement could infiltrate whomever the perpetrator or their group might be. But how do you know who's going to be next if the origin is an individual with despair?
This part seems terrifying to me, honestly. This is not the weather underground.
Honestly, if we start looking more into their online rhetoric, which is pretty hard to do, considering that there's millions upon millions of people making comments every day. So it would be pretty hard to moderate that in any way, shape, or form. So the best thing we can do is maybe a family member speaks out. I don't know. It would be pretty hard to catch these guys in the moment. Like, think about the Dallas shooter who shot at the ICE agents. How we would have caught that guy? He could have been making all the anti-ICE rhetoric online he wanted, and we'd have never caught on to it. Like, that is a problem.
This is not the KKK, right? These are not people who are showing up at meetings. They're not participating in political campaigns. And suddenly they burst into view. And I think you're right. If you're at the FBI and you're trying to prevent the next one, I'm not entirely sure where you would begin.
Your analysis is great, by the way. I don't know if you have a return monitor, but there's my print copy all marked up because I just thought it was so rich with data. And the debate is lacking in data, which you bring to the table. So thank you. Appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, your reaction via social media. Follow me, by the way, in the world of X, okay, or subscribe to my YouTube channel, and that's how your comment gets up on the screen. Retired Florida trucker Frank, in the current political.
All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get over to the right side of media with Fox News with the 5. Let's get right into it.
Just days after a deadly shooting at a Dallas ICE facility, leftist agitators, they're at it again. Targeting a detention center in Broadview, Illinois, just outside Chicago. Agents firing pepper balls and tear gas to stop the crowd from storming the building. And Democrats, they're still pretending they're constant smears, calling agents Nazis at every turn, but that's not fueling the chaos. Watch this.
Criticizing the way that ICE is rounding up people in this country in a deeply inhumane and immoral way is not an incitement to violence.
We've heard a lot of
law enforcement leaders and Republicans talking about bringing down the temperature, people not demonizing ICE. What are your thoughts on that?
I think ICE has to follow some basic rules and guidelines. There is a lot of fear. I mean, we have people that are just being disappeared off the streets.
Jessica, I mean, we opened this segment and you can hear them saying, shoot ICE. Shoot, I don't know, maybe they had water guns out there and I just don't know that. I don't think that's what that was about. I don't see how Democrats can go on TV right now even and defend some of this behavior.
I don't think that anyone is defending that behavior in particular, and I certainly don't want to be the one to do it. So
I mean, let's be honest, sis. There is people on the left who promotes this behavior, who speaks for this behavior, and now that they're getting it, now y'all want to put your hands back as if y'all ain't say nothing. It's kind of like, bro, the very cowardly position that the left is taking right now, because what was all that talk about ICE being Gestapo? They're terrorists. They need to be stopped. Y'all try to get the courts to stop them. The Supreme Court gave them the green light. Now y'all got to go to extreme rhetoric. And now that these extreme actions are being taken, y'all want to throw your hands up as if y'all wasn't saying anything. Okay. Wild. Very wild position y'all taking right now.
I'm going to give that part of this a pass. I do think that you can't create a scenario in which nobody can be critical of ICE ever again or talk about due process violations. And obviously saying, even people who are here undocumented have a right to due process isn't as catchy as some other words. And I would caution people against those words, certainly in the immediate aftermath of something like this. But like we were talking about, even in the A block, where Jesse and Greg basically just said, we don't care. Right. We don't care what you say. This is happening, whether you like it or not. Democrats are going to have to take that into account. The Republican Party is telling you to your face that they don't care. If it's a revenge, by any means necessary.
I mean, she's honestly being real with y'all. She's like, bro, y'all sitting here trying to sell us a sob story about your favorite illegal neighbor that's been here for 10 years and never got his residency status corrected. I mean, you want to sit here and go like, oh, who's gonna pick the fruits, you racist bastards? I mean, y'all trying to give us every position in the world, and we're hitting you with the we don't care. We want to follow immigration law and get them out of here. That's it. Period. Point blank. I don't care what sob story you got to give us. We're following law. We're standing on law, not feelings. And y'all got to be okay with that, because it's what we voted for. It's what majority of Americans voted for. Y'all just got to sit there and take it to the chin.
Stephen Miller, you get 3,000 people a day, no matter what, pick them up at Home Depot, immigration courts. And this has become more of a guerrilla competition between the parties than people who used to go and, stand on the floor of Congress and make impassioned speeches. And that, I think, is a very dangerous turn in our politics, but is the reality.
Jesse, from what I understand, illegals didn't care how they came into this country. They didn't care what laws they broke, if they hurt our economy or other people when they came to this country and decided to be here illegally. They didn't care. Why should our hearts break for how they leave this country?
No, mine doesn't. Obviously, you're a humanitarian. No one is more of a humanitarian.
I mean, they don't even care about the effects that it have on our economy, the job market, and all that good stuff, and wages. They don't even care that it bring down wages. So why should we have so much compassion in our heart for them again? And I still do have compassion for these people. It's just that y'all are a little bit too over sympathetic for people who really don't give a damn about you.
Than I am, but I'm also a grown man, and you have to do tough things when someone floods your country with 10 million people and you have no idea who the heck they are. Jessica says this is dangerous, that we're not listening to them. It was dangerous when we were. We're not even really saying we don't care. We're just saying we're not going to listen to you spew garbage at our people and put them in harm's way anymore. We've actually tried to tell you to tone it down. We've tried to tell you to stop calling them the Gestapo, because we've seen the results of that, and they don't listen. They keep calling them the Gestapo and Nazis. So yeah, we're kind of like, you know what? We can't change your behavior. You're just going to have to find out the hard way at the ballot box. Or if you don't, you might actually have to make a decision one of these days and say, maybe I should stop inciting violence against federal law enforcement. It might not be great politics, and it might not be good as a person. Now, I don't know what Jessica's opinion is on all these people throwing around these words, but she hasn't, so I'm not going to link her to those people. But it's not a rogue agency. Congress funds ICE. If you want to do something about it, win an election. Congress writes the law that ICE is enforcing. If you want to do something about it, pass an immigration bill. You had 2 years, you didn't do it. If you want to do anything with the executive branch, win the White House.
I mean, they wanted to complain about a border bill that was needed. Then they complained about how it was shot down by the Republicans, but the Republicans was called by Trump, literally trying to flame Trump for their own inadequacy. And here's the problem. It was really shot down because it was a foreign aid bill disguised as a border bill, which was really the real problem there. And then Trump comes into office and make these guys look more inadequate by not even writing up a border bill, just enforcing immigration law and immigration policy. And now our border has been closed. It was like as simple as that.
Probably won't for a while because you open the borders and now everybody doesn't trust you. And that's where we are as a country. We're not just not listening to you. We don't trust you.
Yeah.
Katie?
It's incredible that ICE agents can be seen protecting illegal detainees from gunfire, and yet Democrats still continue to smear them as the fascists and the Nazis that they claim that they are. It's totally disgusting. But when it comes to the messaging from top Democrats like Senator Chris Murphy, when he says ICE is rounding people up, or Congresswoman Grijalva saying ICE has to follow some rules and guidelines, Senator Murphy doesn't talk about who they're rounding up. Okay, they're rounding up rapists, human traffickers, murderers. And the Department of Homeland Security puts out all their mugshots and a summary of what they have done, not just here in the United States, but in their home country. And these aren't undocumented people. They're hardened, illegal criminal aliens who have broken laws over and over again and victimized Americans inside this country. And Democrats are fighting to keep them here inside of our communities to victimize even more people. And when you say that people are getting rounded up at Home Depot, they're getting arrested at Home Depot because on these work sites, as the Department of Homeland Security has detailed in full, they are dealing drugs, they are trafficking women and children at these work sites, and they're illegally sending money back to cartels and paying their debts for getting people into
worksite and farms. And here's the thing. We're not going to sit here and pretend like every illegal immigrant's a hardened criminal. No. But the ones that they're getting out of here, a lot of them are. And y'all might want to look up HSI, Homeland Security Investigation, because they do put this out and they do let you know who they're getting out of here. And for some reason, the Dems don't share that with you, or left-wing media don't share that with you. And you got to leave it to Fox News or for the president to put all their mugshots on the White House lawn.
To the country. So all of this comes back to whose side the Democrats are on. They've made it very clear they're willing to smear ICE. And they're willing to tell Americans who say, I really don't want people in my community who are going to murder and rape my daughter while she's on a run. Can you please get them out because it's a preventable thing to do? They continually get on television and in their campaigns and defend criminal illegal aliens while American families are begging for these people to be deported outside of the country.
They don't just get on television. They fly to El Salvador and have a margarita with them.
Exactly.
I mean, they celebrate.
No one had a cocktail.
Greg, there's a study out that shows that what they label as right-wing terrorist attacks have plummeted to an all-time low, and that the left is much more on the rise. But even Will Cain, a couple of hours ago, broke down how labeling something a right-wing terrorist attack, it really is a loose catch. Do white supremacist organizations get the same kind of embrace by the right that Antifa or BLM riots get from the left?
Well, if you're looking for a white supremacist outfits, you have to go to prison because that's where they are and that's where we put them.
That's right.
You know, we have this weird thing about being conservatives. We're a stickler for law and order. We don't romanticize.
Yeah, I mean, the Aryan Brotherhood is mostly in jail.
Radicals. If you go back to the 70s, we weren't the Manson family, the Weather Underground, the Black Panthers, you name it. It was them. They loved it. It's part of the agenda that in academia to romanticize Marxists and radicals. We're the only people covering this. Imagine if there was a right-wing faction daily attacking government facilities. That would lead the news every day. It'd be January 6th every day, except with actual violence. And it's kind of incredible that you mentioned it, that detainees were killed. I mean, how nakedly political is their outrage that they don't care that the deaths of the people they claim to protect came from the rhetoric they are spouting. They just love the conflict. They love the attention, the disruption. This reminds me of kind of an amplification of Whipgate. Remember that? Where they tried to destroy a border agent's life by saying he was whipping a migrant. Now they're doing it every day, even though they knew they were wrong. They knew they were wrong about the border agent, and yet they didn't care, and they're doing it again. So this is why, again, it's not saying we don't care about the issue. We just don't care about your input because your input is dishonest. We just want to fix it. We'd love your help.
I mean, let's be real, though. I mean, the Dems are the ones who created this problem of having increased immigration or increased illegals coming in here. So, like, honestly, y'all created this problem and you want us to listen to you guys on how to solve it? Like, y'all hear how crazy y'all sound. Y'all created this problem and you're expected to be listened to on how to solve it. I mean, y'all sound crazy, man. I'm gonna be real with you. Like, literally, all of us here on the right and center is looking at y'all like this.
That shit is hard. Hey, bro, come on now, dog. Come on, man.
Kind of gave up on getting help.
I mean, a few things. We have to wrap, but you don't romanticize radicals. There are a lot of people who were convicted of real crimes on January 6th that have been pardoned now and are folk heroes, even though they've gone out and
Who made them folk heroes, not us? You.
Really?
With your
Okay.
January.
I mean, that is facts, though. It's like, we don't bring these guys up. You guys do. Y'all make them folk heroes, if anything. It's like, the problem is these guys go out here and not most of these guys on January 6th weren't violent. Were there violent offenders? Nobody's denying that. But to say all 1,500 of them were violent offenders is completely incorrect. But hey, it is what it is. People will believe what they want to believe, and that's why there is, right now it is unverifiable, but it has came out that there were like, what, 274 to 275 FBI agents in the January 6th crowd. So we'll see what comes of that. All right, guys, let's get into our guy Comey. Yep, he got indicted on 2 charges. I mean, obstruction of justice and perjury, lying to Congress. I mean, hey, we'll see how it works out for the man. But right now, it's what, he's innocent to proven guilty. But let's see how MSNBC lays it all out for us.
Comey was indicted by a grand jury on Thursday on allegations he lied to Congress 5 years ago regarding the FBI's investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 election. He was charged with making a false statement and obstruction. Comey has denied any wrongdoing. The indictment marks the culmination of Trump's years-long obsession with Comey, going back as early as July 2016 when the FBI under Comey opened the probe into Russian interference in the 2016 election. Less than a year later, in May 2017, Trump fired Comey after he refused to pledge loyalty to him. Then in December 2018, the New York Times.
All right, guys, if you've got any questions, comments, jokes, or disagreements, make sure to send in $2 or up. I'll be happy to read it out loud and engage with it. And it keeps the stream going longer, and we can go ahead and open up the call lines and run Conspiracy Hour. If not, well, we'll just have to close down stream early.
Reported that Trump had told the White House counsel in the spring he wanted the DOJ to prosecute both Comey and Hillary Clinton. That next summer, the DOJ's Inspector General released a report stating Comey violated FBI policy back in 2017. So all of that brings us to the present day. Just a week ago, Trump took to Truth Social demanding Attorney General Pam Bondi prosecute his perceived enemies, including Comey. 5 days later, the DOJ followed suit and indicted Comey. Our next guest, though, says that none of us should be surprised. In fact, here's what he predicted on this show just a month ago.
Guaranteed, all of the folks that you just showed on that list need to lawyer up, and each and every one of them, in my opinion, will ultimately suffer a repercussion. Everyone from Bolton all the way around the wheel to Chris Krebs, every one of them needs to lawyer up, because right now, Donald Trump is controlling the game.
Where do you think this ends?
So my prediction is James Comey is probably next, and I believe each and every one of them, again, take the entire flywheel there, each and every one of them will be indicted.
Why Comey next?
Just my gut. You know, again, I was so involved and so entrenched with Trump for a decade and a half. I sort of understand him. Comey is an irritant to him. And so I do believe that Again, my prediction.
Joining us now is Michael Cohen, former
He was
personal
right.
attorney to Donald Trump, host of the Mea Culpa podcast, and author of the highly rated Real Michael Cohen Substack. Okay, Michael, I've got to give credit where credit's due.
Thank
you predicted this, not that it's a great development for the rule of law in our country. So did you think it would be this fast, though? And who do you think's next?
Well, is it about the rule of law? Do any of us actually really know whether or not Comey is or is not guilty of the charges? I know that they parade out all of these pundits. They have the great titles in the Chiron, former prosecutor, yada, yada, former FBI. Who's seen a single document that's in the possession right now of the DOJ? The answer is nobody. Who has the crystal ball? Still nobody. I will tell you from my investigation, which I used Brian Karem, who's a 30-year White House correspondent, to speak to people inside government because they wouldn't talk to me. I've learned that Comey was actually very much involved in the Russia investigation in a very negative way. And chances are this DOJ has every single email, every text message, every communication. I believe likely he will be found guilty.
Oh, well, that's interesting because
I think
a
he
lot on the
likely
right.
committed a crime.
Wait, what? What
I
specifically?
believe likely he committed a crime. I don't know what that crime is, but there are hundreds of thousands of documents, and government has each and every one of them. All they need to find is that one. And remember, see, James Comey, when he was the head of the FBI, he was so used to punching down. Well, now you have the FBI that's going to be punching up. I've been through this system. I know better than anybody what a weaponized DOJ looks like and feels like. It is insurmountable.
Didn't you actually break the law, though? With Stormy Daniels and the payment?
Well, it was a campaign finance violation. Is it any different than, for example, John
Yeah,
Edwards,
but
who
isn't that
wasn't?
what
pled.
the law is supposed to do?
Let me say I did. I pled. I pled also under some very extreme circumstances. My entire case didn't last like everyone else's. It was 48 hours. Either from a Friday to a Monday, either I plead guilty or Southern District of New York was filing an 80-page indictment that included my wife. So before we get into
don't have to relive it.
right, we could.
Nah, that is duplicitous as hell. It's like, yeah, bro, you're going to take this charge over and bring in your wife. It's like, what? It's like, what? Yeah, we're going to try to ring in your wife on this. So as you sign this now, we're going to ring in your wife. We're going to make it fast. We're going to tear up your family if you do not capitulate to us trying to bring down Trump and you. It's like, yeah, the entire DOJ did turn against Trump, and it was in his first term. And let's be honest, it is kind of like, hey, man, what goes around comes around. See, the Dems, y'all can't really complain right now. Just sit back and let justice happen, okay? Y'all don't even need to really get involved.
We could relitigate the whole thing, but I believe that Comey likely will be found guilty.
Comey will have his day in court, but I just want to kind of come back to what the conversation is about here, which is the weaponization of the Department of Justice. What you're saying right now is that the Department of Justice under Donald Trump has been weaponized or has not been weaponized?
I think it's been weaponized under more than just Donald Trump. I think it's been weaponized by government for, I don't know, as long as it's been around.
Well, because I think your argument is it was weaponized then by Comey against Donald Trump. That's what you're arguing right now. And so you think that there will be evidence that will show that in court and so thus validate Donald Trump's vendetta against James Comey.
At least I couldn't have said it better.
I'm no fan of James Comey.
I mean, here's the thing. This could lead to other people getting revealed. You never know. James Comey might start snitching, might start dropping names and just... we got more cases brought up.
Too tall, bad writer. But I think that if they had evidence, wouldn't they have charged? Because the charge here is that he's charged in like lying and also misstatements. And there's there's this grand jury. There's this hearing where he's talking and they say it shows that he's lied. I mean, it seems pretty thin. Wouldn't they charge the stuff that they had if they had stuff?
Maybe not. They don't have to. Again, I think running
So you're
And
basically
not
implying there's no rule of law. I mean, what you're suggesting is when you keep saying maybe, you're basically suggesting that we're at a point where there is no rule of law, and whoever's
Donald
in power
Trump is the DOJ, and Donald Trump is controlling the DOJ. I believe that they will find the documentation, or they already have the documentation necessary. Now, you also asked me who I think is next. All right, my prediction, it's either going to be one of two people, Tish James, or it's going to be George Soros.
He has been raising the specter of George Soros and his philanthropic activities. And Letitia James, though, didn't he just fire a prosecutor for not taking the case against her on mortgage fraud? But to go back to the
Here's the problem. It does seem like anytime somebody goes against Trump, the left trying to paint it as, oh, this is political revenge. No, Comey misused like the DOJ and went against the president and made false claims and obstructed justice and obstructed investigation. So yeah, that's all him. That's all on Comey. I mean, it's like with the whole Kimmel thing. It's like just because the people who write his check take him off, they're trying to say, oh, Trump got him taken off. It's all about him making fun of Trump when they know it wasn't. It was all about him making a false claim that the shooter was MAGA. So yeah, it kind of seems like anybody who goes against Trump is going to be framed as a martyr now. And here's the thing. I mean, with the whole point with Jimmy Kimmel, that's not true. It was his own people holding him accountable. And then on the case with Comey, I mean, yeah, really, he could have did this to anybody and he got brought up on it. He lied to Congress and was caught for it. They did the investigation. They found evidence. They presented it to a grand jury. He got indicted. Does that mean he's guilty? No. But that means, hey, some group of people looked at that evidence and they're like, all right, yeah, let's bring him in here.
case against Comey, it's a really tough case to win in court.
How do you know?
Because obstruction, that he lied under oath.
How do you know?
And that
Well, hold on. Here's it's not about how we know or not, because we don't know the evidence, right? So we're not going to go down that road. But I will tell you what has transpired. Donald Trump, in the middle of his campaign, says he's all about retribution, right? He did not like James Comey. He then gets elected president in an interview with Kristen Welker.
Right.
Basically says that he wants the Department of Justice to go after these people. Last week, sends out a tweet in the middle of the day, basically saying he wants his attorney general. The attorney at the time who could have prosecuted that case was basically saying, hey, there's not a lot of evidence for me to go after James Comey. The person they bring in who has zero prosecutorial experience makes the decision that she wants to go after James Comey for her 15 minutes of fame. Again, as I said, Jim Comey will have his day in court. The broader issue that I have is trying to take a step back and say, oh, this is.
And shout out to my man Adam Cornelius. Hey, it's been a minute. He's like, hey man, it's been a long ass time. How the hell you been? Hey, it's all good, my man. I'm glad to see you're back. Shout out my man Adam Cornelius. I have not seen you in a minute, and shout out for starting us off, my friend.
This is just the normal wheels of justice spinning. But and I'm not sure if you're saying because of your own personal experience, we have no rules and we have no justice in this country.
Isn't that the way
I'm asking you to make that point?
Absolutely.
That's what you're saying.
In fact, I can give you the comparison. I want people to understand, I'm not here defending Donald Trump. What I'm trying to do is to explain where we are at, because you listen to all the pundits, they can sit there with their fancy titles and tell you whatever they want. Well, that's not a reality.
Let's actually play some.
Yeah, let's play some of this. Take a listen to some of these pundits that you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't think there's a case. It seems to be premised on something that's not true.
This is not a slam dunk case.
It is so lean. I was looking for an introduction, didn't even get that.
Well, and I mean, come on now. You guys are definitely mischaracterizing this man's argument. But the reason why they're saying that is not a case is because he has plausible deniability. Comey could sit there and be like, well, I was just working with the information that I had on hand. It turned out to be wrong. So I know it may look like I was lying to y'all, but honestly, I just was working with the information I had on hand, even though it was wrong. So you can't prove that he was lying and trying to mislead Congress. But we do know that the information that he was going off of was wrong.
We will
It's
get
been
some
shot up with Ozempic. That is how lean it is.
This isn't a particularly well predicated indictment, that the indictment itself is quite weak, and that it's unlikely to survive in court.
All right, not exactly opposition.
Now, the what was it? The lying to Congress? Yeah, that might not hold up. Obstruction, they have a better case on him with the obstruction case, to be quite honest. And shout out to my man Adam, man, for rejoining the membership. Appreciate the support, my man. Shout out to my man Adam Cornelius. Right now, he is holding it down. Appreciate the support, my brother.
Pundits there. Those are right-wing media allies of Donald Trump who are saying this case is pretty thin.
I mean, when you've lost Alan Dershowitz.
And Ben Shapiro.
Right. But Alan Dershowitz, I mean, he's defended some.
He's defended everybody.
Yeah,
Alan plays both sides of the. But think about this, too. You talked about how Trump has gone on and talked about going after James Comey. Didn't Tish James do the exact same thing to Donald Trump? Haven't we heard the exact same scenarios from pundits on both sides say, come on, nobody's ever been charged with this type of a crime? We've heard the same thing. My point is, we have lost as Americans our way. And I'm saying, let's not get distracted by James Comey. James Comey will have his day in court. Good luck to him. Not a fan, but good luck to him. Let's concentrate on tariffs, the economy. Let's concentrate on the things that matter to the American people that will help us to bring the midterm elections back to the Democrats. That's what I want to don't get sidetracked by all of the hoopla around James Comey.
Not a fan of James Comey, but it's the head of the FBI. I mean, this is I said he was the head of the FBI. Indicting that person on something that everyone else has said is very thin seems like a pretty big deal.
Well, we'll see.
Seems like
we'll see when the evidence comes out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because we don't know what was shown to the grand jury. I mean, that's the problem. We're all speculating that what was shown. We don't really know. But yeah, whatever the grand jury seen, there's like, all right, we got a case. And we'll see as evidence roll out. Like I said, we might have text messages, emails, recorded phone conversations. You never know. You honestly never know what they might pull out on him. That could be damning evidence or pretty weak evidence. He could get off or he could go to jail. Or honestly, he might not even get jail time if he is convicted.
That they're doing.
But all right, guys, let's go ahead and move it along to the next story here. And boom. All right, let's get right into it because there was a Gaza peace deal proposed by the Trump administration that I highly doubt the Netanyahu regime is going to take. But I mean, hey, at least we tried, right? At least we tried. But let's get into it with CNN. Netanyahu set for White House talks Monday after defiant UN remarks. And we will get into Bibi's speech right after this one so we can see what they were talking about.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Monday will head to the White House after a defiant speech in front of the United Nations General Assembly. One item will be on the agenda, one item that will be on the agenda, will be the Trump administration's proposed 21-point Gaza peace plan. Sources telling CNN that plan calls.
Yeah, the Gaza peace plan is permanent ceasefire, release of the remaining hostages, about 20 believed to still be alive. Let's see, gradual Israeli withdrawal from Gaza. They are not trying to do that, Trump. Roadmap for Gaza without Hamas. I mean, should we all for that one? But yeah, gradual Israeli withdrawal from Gaza. I don't know. If they're going for that whole Greater Israel initiative, then that's out of the question. But we'll see. We'll see if Trump actually has any real control over what Bibi does.
For all hostages to be released within 48 hours of a deal and lays out a roadmap for Gaza after the war. I want to bring in CNN political and global affairs analyst Barak Ravid. He's also a correspondent for Axios. Barak, thank you so much for being here. I know you have had a busy week. You were at the UN yesterday for the Prime Minister's speech. What was your sense of how his message was received and where things stand now?
Hi, Jessica. I think the most interesting thing in Netanyahu's speech was the fact that he did not refer at all to President Trump's plan for ending the war in Gaza. He did not say a word, not against it, not for it. He completely ignored it when I think a lot of people wanted to hear if he's going to lay out any response to the plan or he will talk about it in any way, but he decided to ignore it. I think the speech itself was mostly for domestic consumption. I don't think Netanyahu wanted to really convince anybody from those who were in the room.
Yeah, he wasn't trying to convince the world. He was trying to convince the U.S. I mean, because the world can't stop him. I mean, only we can.
Most of the delegates left the room at the beginning in protest. And I think the speech as a whole wasn't that significant. it is far less significant than the negotiations that are taking place right now about the deal for ending the war.
All right, now let's go ahead and take a look at it. All right, let's get into it right here because at first, and I'm gonna show you this right now, people were leaving. People were leaving as soon as he started talking. It was up and through.
Please, order in the hall.
But they wasn't even trying to hear it. Every Muslim country, African country, got them through. Some European countries, no longer there.
Please, order in the hall.
Cambodia, man. Yo.
Please, order in the hall.
Gone. Yeah, very few Muslim countries and African countries, or I would say Middle Eastern countries and African countries, stayed behind.
Please, order in the hall, and please be seated.
All right, let's get to his speech.
Please.
And the reason why they're clapping is because they're applauding that people are leaving before he speaks. But all right, though, now that they've got their protests out the way, let's get to the speech.
Languishing in the dungeons of Gaza. Ladies and gentlemen, last year, I stood at this podium and I showed this map. This map. It shows the curve.
What in God's name? But yeah, shout out to my man Castro. He says 3.3 more years of winning. Lefties, save some tears. I know, guys, you got 3 more years of crying and complaining left. And shout out to my man Castro. And guys, if you have any questions, comments, jokes, or disagreements, go ahead and super chat it in. It's a great way to engage and also a good way to keep the show going. Appreciate the support, guys.
This map. It shows the curse of Iran's terror axis.
Okay.
This axis threatened the peace.
The axis of evil is Iran, Iraq, Syria, and of course Yemen. Of course, Yemen. I mean, no, I don't think anybody hates the Bibi or Israel or more than Yemen.
This axis
Houthis
threatened the peace of the entire world. It threatened the stability of our region and the very existence of my country, Israel. Iran was rapidly developing a massive nuclear weapons program and a massive ballistic missile program. These were meant not only to destroy Israel, they were meant also to threaten the United States and blackmail nations everywhere. From Gaza, Yahya Sinwar dispatched waves of Hamas terrorists. They stormed into Israel on October 7th and committed acts of unspeakable savagery. From Lebanon, Hassan Nasrallah had launched thousands of missiles and rockets at our cities, terrorizing our citizens. In Syria, the murderous dictator Assad hosted Iran's forces, tightening a noose of death around our throats. In Yemen, the Houthis launched ballistic missiles at Israel while choking global trade at the mouth of the Red Sea. So what's happened over the past year? We've hammered the Houthis, including yesterday. We crushed the bulk of Hamas's terror machine. We crippled Hezbollah, taking out most of its leaders and much of its weapons arsenal.
With the pager attack.
Remember those beepers? The pagers?
Yep.
We paged Hezbollah. And believe me, they got the message.
Wow.
And thousands of terrorists, terrorists dropped to the ground.
He
We
ain't
destroyed
lying.
Assad's armaments in Syria. We deterred Iran's Shiite militias in Iraq. And most importantly, and above anything else that I could say to you or that we did in this
Now, it wouldn't be fair if I didn't tell you that, a lot of this stuff that he's honestly complaining about them guys doing, Israel kind of provoked them to do. Like they've relentlessly attacked Lebanon, they've relentlessly attacked Syria, of course, disruption in Syria. They've attacked Lebanon, the Golan Heights and all that crazy stuff. And come on now. And of course, what they've been doing to the Palestinians for years, and of course, Bibi being the one who've actually hid his support for Hamas and funding of Hamas to the Qataris. So, let's just give you a little bit of backstory right there. Both sides aren't innocent, and we're not going to sit here and pretend like I'm not going to sit here and try to validate what they do while also pretending that, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend that Israel is just not doing anything and these guys are just attacking them for no reason. No. There's definitely, I'm going to be honest with you, there's reasons on both sides for why they attack each other.
Year, in this past decade, we devastated Iran's atomic weapons and ballistic missiles programs.
No, that's what we did.
So here's where things stand today.
Okay.
Half the Houthi leadership
gone
in Yemen, gone. Yahya Sinwar in Gaza, gone.
Yep.
Hassan Nasrallah in Lebanon, gone.
Yeah.
The Assad regime.
And if you're over here clapping it up, which you can, but I just want to let you remember now, this is also destabilizing these people and causing regime change, which radicalizes and destabilizes the country even more. And here's the problem. It doesn't do what exactly Israel wants. All it does is strengthen those people's hatred for Israel, which is a problem. And I do feel bad for the Israelis because it's not their fault. It's really Bibi Netanyahu's war campaign that's going to cause this hatred for Israel and now and in the future.
In Syria, gone. Those militias in Iraq, well, they're still deterred. And their leaders, if they attack Israel, will also be gone.
Woo! That's a good
and
threat
for
right there.
Iran's top military commanders and his top atomic bomb scientists, well, they're gone too. Israel's 12-day war with Iran, which I renamed Operation Rising Lion, that's from the Bible. This 12-day war will go down in the annals of military history. Our daring pilots neutralized Iran's missile defenses and took control of the skies over Tehran. And you saw this. Israeli fighter pilots and American B-2 pilots bombed Iran's nuclear enrichment site.
Yeah, we've seen that you bomb Iran, but then we also seen that you needed us to bail you out because Iran was low-key, be honest with you, kind of putting hands on you guys and bombing buildings and all that good stuff. So y'all needed that ceasefire. You needed the U.S. to step in, or Iran wasn't going to stop. And here's the problem with what Israel did. They thought that it was going to cause a regime change in Iran, and all it did was bring both of the sides together. The sides that disagree with the Ayatollah and the side that rocks with them. They all came together and said, you know what? We may not like each other, but we for sure don't like Israel. And that's exactly what happened in Iran. Sadly, I know we all hoping for the regime change, but no, they just united and said, F Israel.
I want to thank President Trump for his bold and decisive action.
Which it was bold and decisive.
President Trump and I promised to prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons, and we delivered on that promise.
That's hilarious, though.
On that promise.
Gone. All the Muslim countries, very few Muslim countries stayed around. And of course, Iran, Islamic Republic, they left their sheet of children that were killed in the bombing of their nuclear scientists, which was highly controversial because when you think about it, when they bombed their nuclear scientists, they bombed them and their family members. It wasn't just them that they killed. But hey, it is what it is.
We removed an existential threat to Iran, to Israel rather, and a mortal threat to the civilized world. We lifted a dark cloud that could have claimed millions and millions of lives. But, ladies and gentlemen, we must remain vigilant. We must remain absolutely clear-minded and vigilant. We must not allow Iran to rebuild its military nuclear capacities. Iran's stockpiles of enriched uranium, these stockpiles must be eliminated.
Come on.
And tomorrow,
right. Lee, see, and this is why I listen to, bro. It's like, bro, BB.
That shit is hard. Hey, bro, come on now, dog. Come on, man.
It's like it's changing the goalposts. First, it was about 90% enriched uranium, and we was talking about that. The 60% wasn't really a problem until it became a 90%. Now you guys are talking about, well, now they have enough 60% uranium. If they put it together, that could be a nuclear bomb. Y'all moved the goalposts. First, it was about them enrichment. Now it's about them just having enriched uranium at 60%. And there's been arguments that Iran does not even want to create a nuclear bomb. It's been forbidden by their religious leader. That's what they say. And then, but here's what the other skeptics say, that they don't even have the capability to deliver said bomb. But let's just go with the fact that it went from 9% enrichment. Now that we've for sure they haven't done that, now we're going like, well, they have enough 60% uranium that could become a bomb. That's moving the goalposts. And if that's the case, then we're about to get into a war with Iran if that's the case.
UN Security Council sanctions on Iran must be snapped back. Thanks to the resolve of our people, the courage of our soldiers, and the bold decisions we took, Israel rebounded from its darkest day to deliver one of the most stunning military comebacks in history. But we're not done yet. The final elements, the final remnants of Hamas are holed up in Gaza City. They vow to repeat the atrocities of October 7th again and again and again, no matter how diminished their forces. That is why Israel must finish the job. That is why we want to do so as fast as possible. Ladies and gentlemen, much of the world no longer remembers October 7th.
Okay,
but
come on.
We remember. Israel remembers October 7th.
No, BBM, we all remember October 7th. Trust me, nobody forgot.
On that day, well, I'll tell you, you can remember October 7th.
It's like, here's a problem. Just because we're not justifying the bombing of or the killing of 63,000 civilians or just because we're not going to say, oh, yeah, that's okay because of October 7th. No, it doesn't mean that we forgot about October 7th. It's just we're over here looking y'all dead in y'all face and going like, look, we're not trying to sound like dickheads, but we understand that they did 1,200, but you guys did 63,000. We understand that they did over 1,000, but you did over 60,000. I mean, like, and then you're still going. You're still going. And we've got about 300,000 Palestinians missing. So we're not even sure if that 63 is the actual number yet. So you can't sit here and throw October 7th in our face repeatedly and then, you know, for bringing up what's going on in Gaza. At a certain point, we're just going to look at you and be like, dog, I get trying to take out a mosque, but if you kill 63,000 people and a mosque is still a problem, you might be creating a mosque, to be quite honest with you.
You see this large pin here? It's a QR code. What I ask you to do is hold up your phones, zoom in.
No way.
And you too will see why we fight and why we must win.
Bro got a QR code on his... No way. No freaking way, guys. He has a QR code on his chest. On the chest. There's no way. I almost got to see it. There's no way. Let me see. The QR code right there. No way. Well, it's not pulled up for me, but hey.
It's all in here.
Trying, BB, I'm
on
trying.
October 7th, Hamas carried out the worst attack on Jews since the Holocaust. They slaughtered 1,200 innocent people, including over 40 Americans and foreign nationals from dozens of countries represented here. They beheaded men. They raped women. They burnt babies alive. They burnt babies alive in front of their parents. What monsters. And these monsters took them more than 250 people hostage. And those included Holocaust survivors, grandmothers and their grandchildren. Who takes hostage grandmothers and grandchildren? Hamas does. So far, we've brought home 207 of these hostages, but 48 still remain in the dungeons of Gaza. 20 of them are alive, starved.
And I do want to give you a little bit of context behind this whole hostage situation. Now, one of the main reasons why Hamas took hostages is because they wanted to do a hostage exchange for all the Palestinians that have been taken into Israeli jails without no due process. So they're asking for a hostage exchange. Now, Israel don't want to do that, and they kind of been stringing them along. They kind of been bombing them relentlessly and pretty much telling, Hamas that, look, we're not going to give you none of yours back, but you better give ours back or we'll continue bombing y'all. And Hamas is looking there like, well, what about your hostages? And so is the Israeli protesters going like, well, what about the hostages? And Bibi is like, well, the hostages be damned. We're going to take these guys out. We're going to move in and we're going to worry about that later. And then Trump comes in. Well, shout out to Trump for actually worrying about the hostages.
Tortured.
Because somebody had to remind
any daylight. Deprived of humanity. These are the names of the 20 living hostages. Matan Angrist, Gali and Zerv Berman, brothers. Elkanah Buchbot, Rom Braslavsky, Nimrod Cohen, Ariel and David Cunyo, another pair of brothers. Guy Gilboa Dalal, Eviatar David. You saw the picture of Eviatar David, emaciated, forced to dig his own grave. Maxim Herkin,
I want to say
Eitan Horn,
savage, but
Segev Kalfon, Bar Cooperstein,
they
Omri Meran, Eitan Moore, Yosef Chaim Ochana, Alon Ohel, Avinatam Or, and Matan Tsengarker. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to do something I've never done before. I want to speak from this forum.
Stop bombing children? I mean, that'd be great.
To those hostages through loudspeakers. I've surrounded Gaza with massive loudspeakers connected to this microphone in the hope that our dear hostages will hear my message. And I'll say it first in Hebrew and then in English. Achenu hagiburim, chem niya. ולא נרפה כאחד. Our brave heroes. This is Prime Minister Netanyahu speaking to you live from the United Nations. We have not forgotten you, not even for a second. The people of Israel are with you. We will not falter and we will not rest until we bring all of you home. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks to special efforts by Israeli intelligence, my words are now also being carried. They're streamed live to the cell phones of Gazans. So to the remaining Hamas leaders and to the jailers of our hostages, I now say, lay down your arms. Let my people go. Free the hostages, all of them, the whole 48. Free the hostages now. If you do.
And let's be real, like I said, the argument around the world is that, if you release Palestinian hostages, Hamas will be happy to give you your hostages back. But I don't want to do that. I mean, that's just the facts. And here's the thing. It was their financial minister, Smotrich, who admitted that, we're not going to give back Palestinian prisoners for our own. We're not doing it. I mean, you can actually look the video up. Actually, he was actually gaslighting one of his own people, one of his own Israeli people that was talking about, let's get the hostages back by giving up some of the ones we have. What's wrong with that? And he's like, nope, we're not giving them back. You want to release terrorists. We're not doing that. And it was pretty much F the hostages. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that his argument isn't valid. Well, to be honest with you, it's kind of up to you to determine that. I don't really see it as valid if your main goal is to get the hostages back. But if you see it as valid for somebody to keep your family member up under terrorists because of these Palestinians in jail that you don't really care too much about, then hey, man, that's on you.
You will live. If you don't, Israel
tell me that.
will hunt you down. Ladies and gentlemen, if Hamas agrees to our demands, the war could end right now. Gaza would be demilitarized. Israel would retain overriding security control, and a peaceful civilian authority would be established by Gazans and others committed to peace with Israel. And of course, you understand that the war in Gaza has affected every Israeli. But I'm sure there are people in New York or in London or in Melbourne and elsewhere who are probably thinking, what does all of this have to do with me? And the answer is everything. Because our enemies are your enemies. So let's do something else. So first at the UN, let's do a pop quiz.
Oh, Lord.
And raise your hand if you know the answer.
Oh, Lord.
Here's the first question. Who shouts death to America?
And now, I'm gonna be honest with you, if you do not now see how this death to America thing has been politicized against you, I mean, I don't know what else is going to convince you because, why do they shout death to America? I mean, can we admit that we've been kind of interfering in our government for years and trying to force our ideals on them? And if they don't accept our Western ideals, we enforce sanctions or other punishments on them, or we just outright try to have a regime change. What do you think they're going to say? How do you think they're going to feel towards America, especially when the whole world knows we're the ones that put the batter in Israel's back? We're the one that stuffed their wallets. So how do you think these countries are going to feel towards us? Like, let's be real.
Is it A, Iran, B, Hamas, C, Hezbollah, D, the Houthis, or E, all of the above? All of the above. Correct. All of the above. Second question. Who has murdered Americans and Europeans in cold blood? Is it A, Al-Qaeda, B, Hamas, C, Hezbollah, D, Iran, or E,
who has murdered Americans and Europeans in cold blood? I mean, you might want to go ahead and put Israel on there as well, my man, because remember that 1933 U.S. liberty? I mean, shoot, you can go ahead and put yourselves on there as well. I mean, if you want to be fair, who killed Americans and Europeans in cold blood? I mean, if you want to be fair, you should add yourself on there as well.
all of the above? Correct. Again.
Nah, I ain't gonna lie. You know what, bro? He got pulled. He got major pull for that one. He got world leaders, bro, talking along like they're students. And this man's a teacher. Now, guys, who says death to America? Is it A, Hamas? Is it B? Yes, let me talk to you world leaders like your little ass kids. Bro. And they just sat there and took it. Oh, hell no, bro. I couldn't have done it. I'd have had to walk out there my damn self. Even if I do agree with you, bro, you're not going to talk to me like some little ass kid.
So here's the point I wanted to make. Our enemies hate all of us with equal venom. They want to drag the modern world back to the past, to a dark age of violence, fanaticism, and terror. I think many of you are already feeling in your own societies the radical Islamist surge. You know, I'm sure you do.
Not really.
You know deep down that Israel
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. In our society, like a radical Islamist surge. No, not really. We have our problems with Dearborn, Michigan, and they're like in Islam kind of taking over that area. But then here's the thing: I'm be honest with you, I kind of blame the people in that area. I mean, like y'all kind of let them take over that area. You didn't push their ideas. You let them kind of flood that area with immigration, and now it's a damn near Somali city or a Muslim city. So, I mean, that's kind of our fault at a certain point. And let's be real, is that everywhere in America? No. Is Islam taking over America? Not at all. Honestly, there's been a rise in Christian values. There's been a rise in people going to church. So I would like to champion that instead. But I don't think Muslims are the people to fear, to be quite honest with you. Now, radical Muslims groups for sure, the radicals for sure, but all Muslims, not at all.
Israel is fighting your fight.
I mean, shoot, I wouldn't even tell y'all to do that to all Jews. I always tell y'all it's all about the Israeli government and what they command the IDF to do around the Middle East. It's never about all Jews. It's not even about all the Israelis, because there's people in Israel who speaks out against this. There's people in Israel who speaks out against the annex of the West Bank and all that good stuff. So I will never sit there and blame all Israelis.
So I want to tell you a secret.
Good people all over.
Behind closed doors, many of the leaders who publicly condemn us privately thank us. They tell me how much they value Israel's superb intelligence services that have prevented time and again terrorist attacks in their capitals, time and again saving countless lives. General George Keegan, former head of U.S. Air Force intelligence, once said, "If the United States had to gather on its own the intelligence that Israel gives us, we would have to establish 5 CIAs. 5 CIAs. This past June, when Israel struck Iran's nuclear facilities, German Chancellor Merz admitted the truth. He said, Israel is doing the dirty work for all of us. President Trump understands better than any other leader.
I don't know about that, dog. I mean, especially what you did with Iran and all that good stuff. You kind of left us to sweep that up. And then with the Houthis, we had to come in there and help out with that as well. So, the only thing we've been kept out of is Syria and Lebanon. So hopefully that stays the same.
That Israel and America face a common threat. He showed the world that when Iran and its proxies murder Americans, take Americans hostage, shout death to America, burn American flags, and try to assassinate the President of the United States, not once, but twice.
Oh, guys, let's try to get the support up so we can go ahead and run a conspiracy hour, guys. I do believe we're about, I think about $94 away from running a conspiracy hour. Appreciate the support, guys. Let's keep it going.
Show them there is a price to pay for all that. But regrettably, many leaders who are represented in this hall, they send a very different message. Sure, in the days immediately following October 7th, many of them supported Israel. But that support quickly evaporated when Israel did what any self-respecting nation would do in the wake of such a savage attack. We fought back. Now just imagine, just sit back for a second and imagine an attack against America proportioned to the attack against Israel on October 7th. Imagine a regime, a terror regime, dispatching thousands of terrorists to invade the United States. They massacre 40,000 Americans.
Bro, I don't think that's the best argument to make, because then I could sit here and say, well, can you imagine what the Palestinians must have lost at that point then? If we're talking about there are people of 2.3 million and they lost 63,000 people. I mean, if you're talking about you guys losing 1,200 equal to 40,000, then what is 60,000 equivalent to in America? concerning the Palestinians population, which is smaller than Israel, by the way, because they're about 6 to, I think you guys about 6 to 9 million people in Israel. So we get that argument. But I mean, when you make that argument, then go ahead and flip it around, go ahead and give that same one to the Palestinians. And I mean, how much did we really take out then? And if we compared that to American numbers, I mean, shit, I mean, we didn't take out like 20 million people.
10,000 Americans hostage.
Well, my bad, not like 20 million, but we damn near took out. I mean, if we relate that to America, 63. Yeah, we probably taken out close to probably like 500,000 people.
What do you think America would do? You think America would leave that regime standing?
No.
You don't think that?
No, we take that regime out and we do surgical strike because we don't believe in collective punishment. We wouldn't just go in there and just start bombing women and children recklessly and then try to remind the world about the atrocity of that day. No, we go in there, we take out all the members of that terrorist group and we're going to head back out. That'd be what we do today. And I'm like, let's be quite honest. We're not going to do what Israel did, dog. Trust me. Why would we paint ourselves like that? And I don't think the American people would ever let the American government do something like that. And then we're all just going to look the other way.
No way. Not a chance. The United States would wipe out that terror regime. And
like, bro, if somebody came over here and took out 300,000 people, I mean, I'm be honest with you, dog, we're not going to go over to that country and take out for like 4 million. Like, that's not what we're going to do.
Ensure that such savagery would never threaten America again. This is precisely what Israel is doing in Gaza. We're wiping out the terror regime of Hamas and ensuring that this savagery will never threaten Israel again. That's what we are doing. That's what any self-respecting government would do.
Like I said, man, if you want us to get mad over the 1,500, I mean, and trust me, I do feel bad for what happened. 1,500 people lives were taken. But if you want to sit there and give us that like rationalization, then I mean, bro, you're damn near giving that same rationalization to the Palestinians because I was definitely bombing them recklessly before that. And I was racking up the bodies to about that range. And then they hit y'all with October 7th. I mean, I don't know if that's the best argument for that man to make, but let's be real. Not everybody kind of know the stories on both, or kind of know the atrocities that's been done on both sides. All they know is only one side of the story.
Yet, and it's a yet that I'm sorry to say here. Yet over time, many world leaders buckled. They buckled under the pressure of a biased media, radical Islamist constituents.
No, BB, because it's real hard to sit there and tell our people, yeah, it's okay that they're bombing women and children, bro. Just remember October 7th. And then when they tell us, but that was only like 1,500 people. And when we hit them with the, well, what are you, an anti-Semitic? I mean, that's not working for us, BB. I'm gonna tell you that right now. It's not a good argument that you're giving us here. It's like October 7th. I'm gonna be honest with you, it's not a good argument. It's not a good argument to take out 60,000 plus people. It wasn't. It's not a good argument to level 70% of argument. It's not. It wasn't a good argument for us. October 7th was not good enough to sit there and tell the world, please excuse us while we bomb women and children recklessly and level 70% of Gaza. There is really no excuse for that.
And anti-Semitic mobs. There's a familiar saying, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Well, for many countries here, when the going got tough, you caved. And here's the shameful result of that collapse. For much of the past 2 years, Israel has had to fight a 7-front war against barbarism, with many of your nations opposing us.
Mean opposing genocide? Yes, everybody's opposing genocide. We're not opposing you because you want to take out terrorists, BB. We're opposing you because you're committing genocide. It went from taking out a mosque, then you ran propaganda to frame all of the people of Palestine as a mosque, and that don't even make sense. Because let me remind y'all about something. Because you know Hamas, when Hamas was elected, I'll go ahead and give y'all a quick second and tell me something. All right, Hamas was elected in about 06, 07. Now, half of Gaza, I mean, of all 2.3 million, or now 2 million now, but let's just say 2.3 million. So pretty much half of these guys weren't even old enough to vote. So when you guys use that argument about majority of Palestinians voted for Hamas, that's a very flawed argument, because most of the people in there weren't old enough to vote in 06, 07 when Hamas was voted in, and they've held power ever since then. And if you actually been doing some research, you would know that Hamas was propped up to make sure that the Palestinian Authority and Hamas could never unite and never have a one government system for the Palestinians. And who propped up Hamas? Well, Israel, Bibi Netanyahu, at the tune of about what, 30 million or so a week? Yeah, about $1 billion in total, I believe, that was given to them through Qatar.
Astoundingly, as we fight the terrorists who murdered many of your citizens, you are fighting us. You condemn us, you embargo us, and you wage political and legal warfare, it's called lawfare, against us. I say to the representatives of those nations, this is not an indictment of Israel. It's an indictment of you. It's an indictment of weak-kneed leaders who appease evil rather than support a nation whose brave soldiers guard you from the barbarians at the gate. They're already penetrating your gates. When will you learn? You can't appease your way out of jihad, and you won't escape the Islamist storm by sacrificing Israel. To overcome that storm, you have to stand with Israel. But that's not what you're doing. As the prophets of Israel foretold in the Bible, you've turned good into evil and evil into good.
All right.
Now I want to drill down on this. Take the false charge of genocide. Israel is accused of deliberately.
All right, guys, and I guess we'll just have to continue this live tomorrow. And I'm going to go ahead and head out on this one, guys. But make sure you guys double tap that screen and like the video, guys. And make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're not already and hit that bell. I'll be probably coming back on later on today. But, hey, right now we are, well, we're below support requirements. So we're going to go ahead and shut it down for today, guys. But appreciate the support. And those who have supported, I appreciate you guys. But, hey, man, at least I knocked out that 2 hours for you guys, all right? But if you want the stream to run longer, y'all know the deal. But all right, guys, I'll catch you on the next one. It's S.E.T with S.E.T Media. Peace.